Steelers Nation, welcome back to the channel. The Pittsburgh Steelers are working tirelessly to perfect this roster, making moves, adjusting strategies, and constantly trying to put this team in the best position possible to bring home wins this season. And before we dive into today's exclusive story, I need you to smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow and keeps Steelers news right here at your fingertips. Now let's get into it, because this one is big. The Pittsburgh Steelers kicked off the 2025 season in thrilling fashion, pulling out a nail-biter on the road against the New York Jets. A 34-32 victory powered by a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers and some unlikely heroes was exactly the start Pittsburgh needed. But if we're being honest, the win also exposed some weaknesses, especially on the defensive side of the ball, particularly in the secondary. And now, a brand new report out of New Orleans has made Pittsburgh's hunt for help at safety much more complicated. Let's not sugarcoat it. Ever since the Steelers traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick this past offseason, questions about depth at safety have been swirling. Pittsburgh brought in Jalen Ramsey in that blockbuster deal, and while Ramsey has been tasked with playing multiple roles in the secondary, he is not a one-for-one replacement for Minkah. Add in Juan Thornhill and Deshaun Elliott as the main safeties, and you've got a group that looks serviceable on paper, but thin in reality. That thin depth chart was tested immediately in Week 1 when Elliott went down with an injury during the Jets game. Early reports suggest it's not season-ending, but the fact remains, this team is one injury away from being dangerously exposed on the back end. That's why names like Justin Simmons and Jabril Peppers have been swirling around the Steelers' rumor mill. Both are proven, experienced safeties who remain available in free agency. Adding either one would not only protect against another injury, but also provide legit competition for Thornhill at free safety and sub-packages. Now, here's where things get tricky. The New Orleans Saints were just hit with a devastating injury blow of their own. Starting safety Julian Blackmon suffered a torn labrum and is now out for the remainder of the 2025 season. That injury immediately thrust New Orleans into the very same free agent safety market the Steelers were eyeing. So now, instead of Pittsburgh having its pick of proven veterans like Simmons, Peppers, or even Marcus Williams, the Steelers suddenly find themselves in a bidding war. And make no mistake, while the Saints are not in a win-now mode the way Pittsburgh is, they still have the power to throw money at available free agents to patch holes. This creates a fascinating chess match. Do the Steelers act quickly and aggressively to secure one of these veterans before the Saints get their checkbook out? Or do they gamble on Elliott's recovery timeline and hope they don't need major reinforcements until later in the year? Let's talk specifics. Justin Simmons has been one of the most consistent safeties in football over the past several years. He's got elite range, sharp instincts, and the ability to take away the deep passing game, something Pittsburgh sorely lacked last year and even showed cracks in Week 1. A player like Simmons instantly gives you more flexibility with Ramsey, allowing him to shift around as a corner, nickel, or even hybrid safety when needed. Then you've got Jabril Peppers, a completely different type of player. Physical, aggressive, almost like a linebacker in the way he attacks downhill. He thrives in the box, brings swagger, and can immediately help against the run, which, let's not forget, was another glaring issue in Week 1. If you're worried about Pittsburgh's struggles stopping the Jets on the ground, Peppers is the kind of guy who could tighten that up quickly. Either way, both Simmons and Peppers bring leadership, toughness, and experience, three qualities this team desperately needs to stabilize the safety group. Of course, Simmons and Peppers aren't the only options. Marcus Williams remains unsigned and would fit the mold of a veteran stopgap who has familiarity with AFC North football after his time with the Ravens. His injury history is a concern, but when healthy, Williams is a ball hawk who could pair well with Ramsey. There are also lower-profile options like Duron Harmon or Logan Ryan, veteran journeymen who may not wow fans but can provide steady depth and fill-in ability. Don't discount these types of signings. Omar Khan has shown time and time again that he likes adding proven veterans late in the offseason when the price is right. Here's the big question. If both Pittsburgh and New Orleans are pursuing the same safety, who has the edge? On paper, it should be the Steelers. They're fresh off a season-opening win. They have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and they look like a team ready to compete for a playoff spot, maybe more. Free agents who want to win should choose Pittsburgh over a Saints team that looks like it's destined for a top 10 draft pick. But here's the catch: money. The Saints could simply offer more guaranteed dollars, while Pittsburgh may try to stay conservative with cap space to save flexibility for later in the season. It might come down to which free agent values winning over cash. While all this talk about safeties is crucial, let's not forget the positive storylines from Week 1. One of the most surprising performances came from veteran wide receiver Ben Skowronek. A guy most fans pegged as nothing more than a special teams player turned into a key contributor in the Steelers' first win. His 22-yard touchdown catch from Rodgers on the opening drive set the tone, and his blocking ability helped spring DK Metcalf for a big gain later in the game. Then, of course, there was the heads-up special teams play in the fourth quarter when Skowronek recovered a fumble on a kickoff return, a momentum-swinging play that could have saved the game. These are the kinds of hidden contributions that championship teams need. While the headlines are dominated by Rodgers and Metcalf, it's guys like Skowronek who often swing games in the margins. Yes, the Steelers opened the 2025 season with a strong win against the New York Jets. We saw Aaron Rodgers lead the offense with poise, Metcalf making plays, and the defense showing flashes of dominance. But hovering over that victory was the uncertainty surrounding one of the pillars of this franchise, Cam Hayward. Hayward, the heart and soul of the Steelers' defense for over a decade, spent much of the offseason in a hold-in, showing up to camp but refusing to fully participate while demanding changes to his contract. This wasn't about ego or laziness. This was about respect. In 2024, Cam played all 17 games, was named an All-Pro, and once again showed that even in his mid-30s, he's still one of the most dominant defensive linemen in the league. And yet, going into 2025, Hayward was set to earn about $15 million, a strong salary, sure, but not reflective of his production. Cam wanted a bump, or at the very least, individual incentives that matched the level of his play. Instead, what he got was, let's just say, less than inspiring. On the Saturday before the season opener, the Steelers announced a revised contract for Hayward. Many fans assumed this meant Cam finally got what he wanted. A well-deserved pay raise, some guarantees, maybe a show of respect from the front office. But when the details came out, it was a different story. The Steelers added incentives to the existing deal. That's it. If the team makes the playoffs, and if they win playoff games, and if Cam continues to dominate, he can boost his salary from $15 million to $18 million. Sounds good, right? Extra money on the table. But here's the issue. Those incentives are entirely based on team success. There are no bonuses tied to Cam's individual performance. No reward if he racks up 10 sacks. No bonus if he makes another All-Pro team. Nothing tied to what he can control. Steelers insider Jerry Dulac said it best in an interview with 102.5 WDVE. It's obviously better than nothing, but basically, it's not a whole lot more than nothing. Unless they go on a playoff run and he's very productive, it's not what he was seeking. Can't imagine that he's happy or even satisfied with that deal. That's the crux of the problem. This wasn't about throwing Cam a bone. This was about kicking the can down the road. The Steelers wanted to eliminate the distraction heading into Week 1, make sure Hayward was on the field, and avoid the optics of having their captain sitting out. But long-term, this solved nothing. Cam Hayward isn't just another player. He's a leader. He's a captain. He's the guy younger defenders look to for guidance. He's the one who holds teammates accountable in the locker room. And when a player like that feels disrespected by his own organization, it creates ripples. Sure, Cam is a professional. He played Week 1. He'll keep giving his all because that's who he is. But inside, you have to wonder if he feels like the team values him less than his production shows. And here's another layer. Cam has already hinted at retirement after the 2025 season. He's under contract through 2026, but if he feels burned out or disrespected, he could very well hang it up earlier. If that happens, Pittsburgh's decision to cheap out on his contract could backfire in a massive way. Let's look ahead. Say Cam plays out 2025, puts up another Pro Bowl-level season, and decides he wants to run it back in 2026. What happens then? We're likely right back in the same spot. Cam asking for more money, the Steelers reluctant to budge, fans frustrated, and media swirling with headlines about another contract standoff. That would make it 3 straight off-seasons of drama surrounding one of the greatest players in franchise history. And let's be honest, this fan base doesn't deserve that. Cam doesn't deserve that.
And frankly, the team doesn't need that distraction while trying to compete for a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. It's worth pointing out that Omar Khan handled T.J. Watt's contract much differently. Watt wanted guarantees, he wanted security, and he got a massive extension right before training camp. That deal made headlines, but it also gave Watt peace of mind and kept the locker room steady. So why not do the same for Cam Hayward? Sure, he's older. Sure, he may not have many years left. But doesn't that make it more important to show loyalty now? Doesn't it send a better message to the rest of the locker room if you reward the guy who's given everything to this organization? Instead, the Steelers gave him playoff-based incentives, knowing full well the team hasn't won a playoff game in nearly a decade. That's not a solution, that's a gamble. So here we are. The Steelers are 1-0, but their safety situation is already being tested. The Saints' injury to Julian Blackmon just complicated Pittsburgh's plans, and now Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin have to decide how aggressive they want to be. Do they chase Justin Simmons or Jabril Peppers right now, before the Saints beat us to it? Or do they sit tight, trust Elliott's health, and risk losing out on top talent? This is one of those moments that can define a season. Depth moves in September don't always grab the headlines, but they can be the difference between a playoff push and falling short down the stretch. Steelers fans, I want to hear from you. Should Omar Khan go all in right now to sign Justin Simmons or Jabril Peppers before the Saints beat us to it? Or do you think Elliott's injury isn't serious enough to justify a big signing just yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This debate is going to be a heated one. And once again, if you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay plugged into every twist and turn of the Steelers season, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update. This is Steelers Nation News, and we're just getting started.